That's not good because it might automatically stop.
Probably will. Alright, guys. Welcome to Hormetic Monks number 8, episode number 8.
Yep. Good times. It's January. And it's February. No.
He just woke up from a long coma.
It's February. It's like oddly warm outside for this time of year.
It is actually. It is. I think the weather's being oddly bipolar.
Yes. Yeah, Michigan's interesting. I think this is the most mild winter, and that's saying a lot.
Yeah.
Compared, like the last 3 years I've been here.
Yeah. Well, yeah. The last 3 years have been pretty mild too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I saw a meme. I don't know where it was. I'm gonna say X because I like X. I saw a meme on X, and it showed a groundhog, and the groundhog he says, for all you guys, he said, it's gonna be an early spring. He says, for Michigan, your weather does its own thing. And it's kind of true. It's like even though it feels warm right now, a week could go by and it could go right back to in the teens temperature wise. So, but anyways.
So you did you end up doing the researching Tony Robbins at all or no?
So a little bit. So basically, we left off kind of last podcast, if I remember correctly, talking about Tony Robbins, and we were trying to kind of describe, or you were trying to describe, kind of what this new.
Yeah, I was wrong, by the way. Yeah. I thought it was released, and I was wrong. It was it's going into to the Supreme Court, I believe you said.
No, so it's actually it's in because I did look it up a little bit, did a little bit of research on it. So it's actually it passed the House. It was put forth. Actually, I was wrong. I told you earlier that it was a Republican-based bill that was put forth by a Republican, and it was. But it's also there's a Democrat too that kind of co-sponsored it along with Mike Flood.
Bipartisan.
I don't, for some reason, I'm not recalling her name, but it's a Democrat in the House as well. They both put this bill forward, and it passed on May 31st of 2023. So it's passed the House of Representatives, so it moved over to the Senate on June 1st of 2023, and they have yet to vote on it. But it did real well in the House. It wasn't like a close thing. It passed with a lot of support from both Dems and Republicans in the House. So,
which we really want this to pass. This is a massive deal. Yeah. And the reason why is because, like the high interest rates high interest investments that you can get. This is where you, as just a regular citizen, can do what a certified investor can do. And you have to have. I think you have to be evaluated at $1 million, I believe, to be able to be a certified investor.
There is another way. So there's a couple other ways that you can be right now. So you can have $1 million net worth. You can have, if you're a single person, filing singly, your taxes filing singly. If you have the last 2 years, if your income was $200,000 or more.
Oh.
And you expect in the following year to make $200,000, you can participate as an accredited investor. The other thing is
that's still a really high bar.
That is a real high bar. I mean, you think about it, the median income in America right now, I believe, is around $40,000.
It's household is higher.
Maybe not household, but single filer average.
That makes sense.
30 to 40,000. That's the median middle, not the average. The average is going to be higher, so you can do that, or if you're filing jointly your taxes, you have to have $300,000 for the prior 2 years and expect to make for the following year another $300,000. Or you can get your Series 7's license to sell securities, or your Series 65 license to be a financial advisor and I believe there's one other series license that you can get that would actually qualify you as an accredited investor.
Okay.
So and I think there might be some other avenues, but those are the main avenues to be able to be considered an accredited investor. We were kind of touching on it last week, but the difference kind of between an accredited investor and someone that's just a regular investor, a regular investor is going to be investing in the stock market, or they're going to be investing in REITs, real estate investment trust, or they're going to be, and it may be within an IRA or 401k, but they're not allowed to go into private equity. They're not allowed to go into venture capitalist, funds. They're not allowed to go into syndicate funds. I don't know. You ever heard of Grant Cardone?
Yes.
Yeah. So Grant Cardone has, not that this is not a endorsement of Grant Cardone, or by no means, but he has a syndicate, real estate syndicate. And right now, if you're not an accredited investor, you can't. I believe this is correct. You cannot invest in a syndicate, a real estate syndicate. So there's.
But you can with him for some reason.
Yeah, I think there might be some loopholes there, but it's the financial burden is really high on his part. Versus if he was just offering to accredited investors, it would be a lot. The finances or the financial side of it would be a lot lower. I'm not super aware.
Boxable is doing the same thing. So this is one thing though. Like, if this passes, you have to be smart, because for a fact, if this passes, there's going to be a ton of people going to lose a lot of money for the initial couple years, if not longer,
right,
before education follows, and because people are just going to get excited, like, oh, let's do it. Like, there's going to be a lot of Silicon Valley situations happening where oh, I've got this great idea, and the person doesn't have any actual experience running a business and stuff like that. Like, let's say for instance, I said hey, I got a great business idea and everything like that. I wouldn't necessarily invest in that idea necessarily, because
Sure.
I don't have the credibility to I don't have the background of having a successful business in the past, or a track record, or whatever.
You don't have a record of
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
So you have to be really, really freaking careful.
Well, it's just like all these crypto coins. Some of them I'm sure are legitimate, but then some of them are just kind of fly by night. Somebody put out some little software piece. They had some coins. A bunch of people bought in, became a meme coin, and the founders made a lot of money, but there was really no utility behind the coin.
Yeah, I think
So.
I think 90. I'm not going to throw a statistic, but I think the majority of them are not legit.
Yeah.
And it's cool that they're building off of it, they're learning things, so potentially someday they will be. I'll say this: there's some tokens and stuff that the transfer speed is really fast. I did a transfer of Bitcoin, and the Bitcoin took forever. The Ethereum though, was instant, really quickly. So instead of using other, I think I want to say not Zelle. There's another exchange I used to send to a buddy in another country, and there was a lot of fees
associated with it. Yeah.
So if you're trying to send it over the seas for a family and friends or whatever, crypto is definitely going to be the way to go. It's way quicker. The amount that gets taken off the top is minuscule. The most expensive part, I believe, is putting crypto, or transferring crypto from your bank to a platform like Coinbase and stuff like that.
Sure.
So I think it can be $5 or something.
Yeah.
So if you're gonna do it, instead of, well, maybe it's not that. I remember back in the day, it was with Coinbase, it was $10 a pop to invest, and you're so it's almost not even worth doing it.
Right.
Unless
right,
you're
at
doing
that point,
large
unless you're
sums.
doing, yeah, and then it gets also pricey because the
Yeah.
more the bigger the amount of coins, the more
No,
the transact. Because isn't it a percentage
no, I think it's a $10 flat rate
for what?
to transfer funds from your bank to Coinbase.
Oh,
So
yeah,
one
I'm
time-
thinking of exchange to exchange
No.
or that kind of stuff because
Yeah.
that is
Yeah,
most time a
that's
percentage.
different. Yeah.
It also depends on some of the platforms. It depends on the hour. Actually, they'll update the percentage that they're going to take per hour because the busier it is, the longer it's going to take. The more they want to extract from you as far as money goes.
Yeah.
But it is pretty cool as far as that bill. Hopefully it does pass. I mean, I haven't read the bill yet. I don't even know if you can read the bill yet. I was going to look into that. But because a lot of times I think it works to where you have to actually pass the bill before you read it, or they have to pass the bill before you can read it before it goes to the public. I may be wrong on that. I would like to get my hands on it and read it, and maybe we can talk about maybe some sections in there that aren't so good, because I always feel like whenever they put a bill through the House and the Senate, there's something attached that is negative for the people, even if it's, something overwhelmingly popular or positive for people. There's something that they attach in their rider that ends up kind of biting us on the butt on the way out.
Yep. Unfortunately.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, so it essentially, from my understanding of it, it essentially allows you to be, there's angel investing. Angel investing is basically where somebody that is wealthy, that is an accredited investor, goes through and he picks out a bunch of different startups, and he might actually get some equity for consultations, or he might give them capital in return for equity. Most time it's they're investing capital and consulting the company, because they're probably more than likely like an ex-entrepreneur or someone that has raised capital in the past, raised the business and sold it. And like Naval is one of the bigger ones. I mean, he started I think AngelList.com. He has his own company that like reviews different startups. I don't know if you've ever heard of that. Anyways, but
Started Angel and not
Angel List.
Angel, not Angie's. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I don't like Angie. Angie sucks.
What is
Don't
that?
use Angie's List.
Oh, Angie's List. What is
I
that?
think it's Angie's List.
What is that?
It's like, it's basically to try to find leads for work if you're starting a new company.
Oh,
and
I
they
think
charge an exorbitant amount of money and they don't work, and you end up getting like you want to pay for spam calls pretty much. Go for it. Go for that.
Angie's List.
Yeah.
Go check it out, guys. No, just kidding.
From what I've heard, I haven't used it personally, but my brother has, and he's like,
Does
this
not
is
like it.
horrible. Horrible.
Okay. No, Angel. So yeah, Angel List. Anyways, but that allows you to essentially do the same. Obviously, if you're not, if you haven't been an entrepreneur before, you're probably not going to be consulting. Unless you're, an expert on say, like if you're a software expert, maybe you could be brought in as a consultant to a new company. Probably not if you're someone that after this bill passes, if you want to take the test and become an accredited investor, you're probably not going to be consulting. You're probably just going to be investing capital in return for a portion of equity. And the difference is between that and the stock market is you're buying a portion of equity in the stock market as well, but these are public companies, whereas this is private. So this will allow you to invest in private companies, where the only option for people right now is to invest in public companies. So there's some pros and cons to both, but I think you have public companies are usually far more established. They're better capitalized. They are more, they've been around for longer. The SEC makes them comply with all these regulations that protect the investor. It makes them foreclose a lot of things that protect the investor. Whereas if you're going to be investing with a private company, they're not required to disclose those things. They're not there's far less regulations. They're smaller companies, so there's a lot
Not
greater.
always small companies.
Not always small companies, but typically they're smaller companies because most of the bigger companies go public. But like right now, X is a big company, and it's private right now under the ownership of Elon Musk. So that's a good point. But so most time though they're probably gonna be smaller. There's gonna be a far greater risk, but more upside on the way up. Because if you can pick them right, then you could see possibly 1,000% gain from where you picked them to where you sell them. So
yeah, I think it's an awesome thing because yes, there are going to be a lot of people that are trying to get rich quick and all that stuff that are going to just lose their money, but at the same time, it's basically taking the power from big corporations and putting it into the people, so the people get a vote with their money in a sense.
Sure.
And if they disagree with the way things are running, like Apple and Google, they don't have a monopoly. You can take a whole, like a bunch of people, and let's say you've got a big podcaster that people know he's an upstanding person, like he's going to do his best, and they have a good company for a good cause, and they group fund it with a bunch of a bunch of people with a good goal, and you're going to see, I think, it potential massive, I think this has potential to make everyone more wealthy in the United States, or build the economy. I mean, build the United States economy, which in turn, better economy, everyone typically does better in the good economy. Yep. So I'm all for things that are like this, because the way things are in the United States, it's so it's like you're getting smothered with everything. Like, it is so hard to get from here to here. It's like this zone, like this gray zone of just suck until you get to a point. If you're trying to actually get to a point where you have financial freedom, it's
glass
really
ceiling,
sucky.
Yeah.
And I've been looking at jobs and stuff because I was just curious what other careers were making 4-year degrees, and I'm looking at this, I'm not motivated. I would never go to college for this amount.
Right.
I would go to college for the sake of learning. That's where just writing and getting good at math and stuff. But all the rest is just geez, it just doesn't seem very worth it.
No.
I wish it was, because there are certain skills that are super important that you need, I'm lacking in my writing skills and stuff. Anyway, the education system, at least where my grade school and high school, was not the best. Yeah. Anyways, but you can make really good money just doing trucking. Yeah, there's a lot. Here's the things that I've noticed with the regular jobs and stuff. You can kind of anything out of the construction field. I think you have a tad more freedom, in a sense, freedom to do what you want. There's some companies that they won't drug test you or whatever, because it's not really a safety issue, it's a performance issue.
Sure.
So they still don't want you to, but you can still get away with it.
Sure.
But not that I'm just saying that those are the things that I've noticed there, because a lot in the construction world, I've noticed tons of people use different substances, and not substances, weed or whatever, and they would like the freedom to do that, but they can't because of the job that they're working in. It is a safety issue, and I completely agree with
You're
it.
saying in the construction field, there's guys that want to be able to do that, but they can't because
of
they're
pain.
they're
A
being
lot of it's
tested as a
pain.
safety thing.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, pain. When you're doing a lot of physical labor, for some people, instead of getting a pain medication, it's better than an opiate, Like
Right.
opiates are highly addictive,
Right.
and so people like treat their back pain or whatever with it doesn't even. I don't think it actually helps. It just alleviates it a little bit, from my understanding.
Yeah.
But you can't do it because like a little bit of suffering isn't worth someone getting injured on the job.
Right.
Something
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
that. If-
So regulations
Yeah.
are important, but
Yeah.
it's kind of like the whole thing with accredited investing. It's like we want people to be safe, so we put down a regulation to where it protects people. But in the case of, I feel like in the case of, this is what I think the biggest problem is like when you want to be able to protect people, but you really can't. I feel like, and this is more of, I guess, a point towards the accredited investing versus drugs in the workforce, because obviously it's a liability issue if you have a company to have drugs in the workforce. You can't have your employees on drugs. If they are on drugs, yeah, it can be a performance a problem. It could also be a safety problem. So
Yeah.
all in all, it's probably not better to have drugs in the workplace. Now, I think that some of the drugs or some of the tests for drugs, like for marijuana or whatever, just to kind of touch on this briefly, like if you did it 30 days ago and now you're working on a job site, is it affecting your performance? No. But they're testing you for it just the same. And the test catches if you used it 30 days ago. That's a little ridiculous. Do I think that you should be doing drugs while you're working? No, probably not in any circumstance. But there should be probably exceptions.
The problem is there's people that, the reason why it's out there is because there's people that can function and you cannot tell they're high, but they still have it is still limiting their performance.
Sure, but if they're keeping up with everybody around them, I don't really have a problem with it.
You think, usually you can notice.
Then if you can notice,
you can
then you have them go get drug tested. That's a manager employee issue.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm just saying I've seen things where a lapse in judgment where where the people haven't been on a substance, and anything to make you more spacey or no, I don't know, whatever, it's not necessarily good.
Right.
That was a cat, I think.
Was it?
I don't know.
We're going to interrupt this briefly. All right, guys, we're back. It wasn't the cat. It's my girlfriend. It's basically the same thing. No, just kidding.
All right, so yeah,
She moves like a cat. Very swift. Like a ninja. Stealthy in the night.
okay.
All right, so we're back.
Yeah.
So, anyway, so we were talking about accrediting investing. We had to take a brief intermission there. Got some water. We're back. No, but so I think the biggest takeaway here is it's going to be more risk investing in private. Could be more risk because you don't have the SEC looking over your shoulder making sure what you're investing is not a scam. It's going to be, there's these private companies, and some of them could be a little bit more scammy. Definitely, they're not going to be having the same regulations put on them as what the big boys have, or the if they were actually public companies in the New York Stock Exchange. So you have to do your own research. But with doing your own research, you get to catch some of that big upside that possibly could be there, depending on which one you pick. And then the other thing is, and this is I think the benefit, that's kind of like a local benefit to individuals that would be investing in this, but the macro benefit to our country, I feel like, is one, I don't feel like the government should be involved in telling me what I can and can't invest in.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that should be on the personal level. If you're not smart enough to invest in something and you do it anyways and you lose money and you lose absurd amount of money because you get scammed, well, you're probably going to get scammed, you know, gambling. Someone's going to take your money because you're gonna be stupid enough to lose it some way, right? So, and with getting scammed, people can warn other people about it, and there can be we have social networks now, so we can warn other people about companies, about these things. I don't feel like that should be the government's role. So there, I think that there's a benefit macro to the country by allowing investors to invest in whatever they want, because ultimately I'm a supporter of free market capitalism. I'm a supporter of individuals, whatever individuals like, doing whatever is your most beneficial to yourself helps out the country. And you know, individuals can fail and it actually strengthens the company or the country, whereas, you know, you're basically with like the big banks and stuff like this. I'm kind of jumping all over the place a little bit, but with big banks and stuff like that, all the risk is actually inside, and a lot of times it's covered up. And with how it works with big companies, a lot of times they're not allowed to fail, and they keep the risk inside, and it stacks up over time, and then the whole thing fails. Whereas an individual, you know, they invested something, they lose money, that hurts the individual, it might kill the individual as far as financially, but then that individual is going to warn others, and then others aren't going to invest in that same company. And it's going to shift money, you kind of touched on this earlier, it's going to potentially shift money that would normally go to the stock market, to the New York Stock Exchange. It's going to shift that money. Part of it could shift it over into private companies and give them a boost and give them more growth and allow.
And you own a percentage of that company.
Yeah, just like you would in the stock market.
Yeah, but if it's the smaller the scale,
Mm-hmm.
the higher the percentages up and down can be.
You're saying basically,
and it's not necessarily tied to the stock market, like when there's with the stock exchange collapses, or bearish markets happen, like really bearish markets like 2008.
Yeah.
You can hedge. This is why it's so important, is you can hedge with companies that are not correlated with rising and falling with the stock market. There's different companies.
Right. Right. So you're diversifying your portfolio.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Yeah.
If you have money in the stock market and you also have money in private equity, although some companies on the private sector may also be affected by a bear market, because if you have high interest rates and you have low levels of liquidity or low levels of ability to obtain money or to get loans, it could also affect the private sector. But this is a private, like you mentioned earlier, I think you mentioned last week, that football teams, not necessarily soccer teams, all these sports teams, you may be able to get a portion of that. Mm-hmm. And those aren't really tied to the stock market, right? So it opens up the kind of plethora or array of possibilities in the private sector, because it's not just, you know, the same as the stock market, essentially.
Yep. Pretty much, yeah. Yeah, sports teams, stuff like that they're going to happen regardless of what. I mean, it's kind of like the Romans, when things went bad, they had the games.
That's right. That's right. Exactly.
Keep people distracted.
Yeah.
So it's a good. Those are good hedges. I can't remember his name, but the guy that he was talking about had it, like, even during the economy crisis in 2008. I want to say, this could be wrong, it was like they still had an 8% return on
which
investment.
Is wild, because that's what your average return is in the stock market.
And that was low.
And that's on a bad year.
Yeah, I think, like, I don't hold me to these statistics, but I want to say it's like 22% in some years.
Right.
20, or yeah, and it's what you do. Simple research. Who's the best investors in the United States? Mm-hmm. And you can't invest with those people unless you're an accredited investor. But if they get rid of this, you can say, hey, I'm going to search the best investors in the United States, and I'm going to invest with them. And here's the thing. with the private equity, they make 30% whether I believe they make 30% of the profits of your money yearly if they don't make money or not. I believe that's the case.
Whoa, so you're saying that they make
Yeah.
30% of
Whether-
what you make, whether they made money or not?
Yeah, whatever you
I think you're
invest.
talking about hedge fund managers.
Yeah, it's hedge fund. Yeah, it is hedge fund. But here's the thing: is you look at the track record, they still made 8%.
I think
So they still made maybe I said, I know what I said, but I do believe that's the case. They make money whether they make you money on the investments or not, and that's why it's so critical to have really like geniuses doing it, like managing the money, because otherwise, if you don't make a return, people are going to pull their money out like that. So, but they not 30% of your money. They make 30%
on fees.
They make a fee, some fee or what, like whether they make money or not. But that's why you go with the best, and you will be able to, once you take, like if this bill is passed and you take whatever they test, whatever to become a certified investor.
So let me see if I can we're talking about a lot of different things here.
Yeah.
So you have the New York Stock Exchange. That's an exchange for USA stocks,
Yeah.
right? There's not just the New York Stock Exchange. I believe there's
Forex.
Forex is a foreign exchange market.
Exchange. Oh,
That's
yeah.
with
Yeah.
currency.
Yeah.
But so you have the New York Stock. That's it. That's where U.S. public stocks can be listed. There's other exchanges in the U.S., but that's the most popular one. You have hedge fund managers.
Mm-hmm.
Hedge fund managers are essentially, they're pooling, like when you have at your work, you have a 401k, percentage of your paycheck gets deducted every year or every paycheck, and then that goes into a mutual fund. Typically, it can also go into an index fund. If it goes into a mutual fund, there's actively managed mutual funds and there's non-actively managed mutual funds. Actively managed mutual funds are those with hedge fund managers who will rebalance the fund, so the basket of stocks, every quarter or maybe at their own discretion, depending on what they think about the market, to optimize your return, right? And this is all happening on the public side, right? So they'll go through and they might say, okay, it might be a list of tech stocks, and they might be saying, okay, well, we want to sell off. We made a good gain here with Tesla. Now we're going to sell off a bunch of shares of Tesla to rebalance the portfolio, rebalance our basket of stocks, and to get in line as far as risk to reward ratios. And there's a lot of complexity there, but that's what they do. And for that, they're going to take a percentage. Usually, they're going to take, I think it's something like 2%, might be 4%. Every fund has a different percent that they take in fees, and they do that regardless of whether they make money or not.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That was better.
So there's that, right? And then we have angel on the private side. There's private companies that could be correlated to the stock market, because if you have over here on the private side, if you have like some sort of so I don't know this for sure, but I think Waste Management, that's probably a publicly traded company. I'm not sure, but that probably is. But let's say you have a trash disposal or trash pickup company on the public side, and then on the private side you have another trash pickup or disposal company. These two, they're definitely going to be correlated. Even though this one's public and this is private, you can have, if you're an accredited investor, you could invest in this and privately, and you could invest in this publicly, and they're both in the same industry, and they both could go down if the whole market crashes. Because
Maybe not trash, but
maybe not crash, but I'm just saying.
Yeah, because everyone needs their trash taken out. Everyone needs gas. Everyone needs electric.
It's true.
Yeah,
But if loans are hard to obtain, if money is hard to obtain, and if interest rates are high, if people are cutting on things, it may be harder for them to survive. Not just
It's
because
gotta be pretty bad if people stop.
well, yeah, but you got to think that there's other things involved in trash pickup than just having a customer.
Yeah.
You also have to have trucks to pick up the trash. You also have all these other things, and that requires, because you're relying on other people to buy those trucks. Anyways, that's not really the point. But the thing is they both could suffer, right? Maybe that was a bad analogy, but they both could suffer. Like, let's say a tech company, or let's say
facetious. There we go.
So, but let me think of an analogy that would work. Say, what would be something that someone would quit using in a depression? Well, they would probably stop going out to eat as much, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
So you could have something like a Chipotle, and then a mom and pop's burrito shop, or a mom and pop's Mexican shop, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now they both could suffer. They both could be big, technically. They both could be in multiple states. I mean, Chipotle definitely is. And you could invest in each one publicly and privately, and they both could suffer. But private companies, there's sports teams. It allows you to basically get into investments that potentially could be diversifying your portfolio, and you also could be getting better gains because the risk is a little bit higher. Also, on the private side of things, there's angel investors. Angel investors are usually single individuals. There's venture capitalists. Venture capitalists usually represent like a group of individuals that come together to then invest in a company, and usually they're doing it kind of like a house. They're buying it, renovating it, fixing it up, and then selling it.
That's what a lot of these hedge fund guys are doing now too. Like they're looking at a company that has good bones, but it's not it's being ran improperly, and then they'll take their own CEOs, they'll take their own people and come in and boost that stock up.
Right.
And
they'll get better marketing.
Yeah. But that's still your pool. You can allocate certain funds. You're investing in the hedge fund, so they're allocating your funds, I believe.
Right, and that's the thing too is you can pick, if this passes and you're an accredited investor, you can pick individual companies, or you can actually pick a private equity firm that you're going to invest in, and then they're going to take your money and then they're going to invest in a portfolio of private companies, and then they're going to give you a return on the backside. There's a lot of details, and it's kind of like it's just like public companies. There's a lot of details there, even if you're just going to invest in the stock market. So you really got to dive deep and understand it better. And I definitely want to, but I do think that this bill is kind of, we're putting the right foot forward with this bill. At least, Congress is, hopefully.
Yeah.
Maybe not the Senate, but definitely the House, because it just, people need more options. People are not dumb. People can figure it out. People should have the right to figure it out. And just because you don't make $200,000 to $300,000 a year or have $1 million net worth does not mean you're dumb.
Yeah.
It does not mean that you can't pick the correct company or the correct private equity firm. It doesn't mean that at all. So
I do see something potentially happening why certain people wouldn't want this to happen is when you find out about all these investments that do work, that are giving you high yields. I can see where the more people invest or catch on, which this can be like a scarcity mindset or whatever. I don't know. I could be wrong.
You're saying the return would go down.
Yeah, the more people involved, the lesser the return. So
it's possible, but
potentially.
But I think most of the
on the large scale company, so they're going to have so much money to work with. The more money they work with, the the slower your like if they make the higher their gains, even though they're high, are going to be less percentage for, or you're going to make less of a percentage because there's such a bigger, like the bigger the pool is, the smaller percentage your money's going to make, typically, depending on how, I mean, you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, I get what and I think it could be. I mean, I think it largely depends on what percentage of the company that you own. And then also it depends on how small the company is, how many other investors are in the company, and then it also depends on where the company is in its stage of growth or life. So, like,
what my brain was going towards was like the people that Tony Robbins was talking to, and like these are like the known good investors.
Sure.
And those are where everyone's going to immediately jump towards. Great for those guys. I think you'll still get returns probably better in. Well, I'm not going to say better.
With private equity.
Yeah, I think you'll still do, like, it's going to be great for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
But it'll make it to where, okay, well, there's so many people in this place, I need to find other places. So that money's going to, like, once it gets to a certain point, it's oversaturated, then that's going to drive movement for other people to go from that place to another place. And then,
are you saying private equity managers, like a fund?
Well, once
like a private equity.
What
fund?
I'm saying is once the general population has access to this,
yes,
the places at the top where they've got the where
the biggest returns for the fund, or
there's just going to be so many people going to these places that what your returns used to be aren't going to be that way because there's so much money involved.
You're just saying in the space of private equity in general.
Well, no, not in general. Like certain individuals, certain hedge funds, because it's like
okay, so certain private equity
because
funds
so many people are going to get involved that
they're most likely what's going to happen is that the fund managers are just going to stop taking money. So the really good fund managers are going to stop accepting money, just like the really good hedge fund managers on Wall Street will stop taking money at a certain point.
Yeah,
and the reason is because they can't get in and out quickly. It's too big of a slosh of money to push around.
True.
And then it cuts down on the returns because you can't get in and out of companies very easily. It's just too big.
Yeah.
It's just too much money. So then
what if they end up raising
the fees? They could end up raising.
Well, they could raise the fees, or they could end up being like, well, they could implement what the government already implemented before, and make it so you have to have this certain minimum investment is $100,000, which they already do stuff like that.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, that's true too. Yep.
Yeah.
Totally right. Yep, but I think it is good, and I think it'll be interesting to follow this as it progresses. And I think it's got to pass the Senate, and I think they're planning on doing it sometime, this first quarter here.
Oh, okay.
I don't think there's really a date set on yet on when the Senate's going to vote, but then it has to go to the president. It has to get approved by the president, and then we're in the law.
Right. From what I'm hearing, I don't know if it's correct or not.
Yeah.
I know a lot of things, anything good. So, obviously, I mean, from my perspective, this has been a complete atrocity the past couple of years. The people running the country.
Yeah.
But I've been hearing things that anything good that they're trying to do now, supposedly the other side is trying to not let anything good happen, supposedly. So they're preventing politically to make it so bad that they never want the Democratic Party ever to be able to run for a while.
So you're saying
they're being complicit in making things even worse, so they have complete control.
The Republicans.
Yeah.
So you're saying that they're kind of culpable because they're basically being silent, and they know that it's getting bad with some of the things that the Democrats are doing,
and all the blame is going towards the Democrats, which I think deservedly so in a lot of ways.
Sure.
So,
Sure.
but yeah, it's kind of interesting. So maybe, I mean, I've heard. It's hearsay, but yeah, I've heard that they're purposely trying to sabotage anything going on.
Gotcha.
So it's like, well, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think, and I think, I speak for you as well. I think when I say this, and maybe you'll disagree and push back on this, but like I'm pretty much apolitical. I just want there to be good policies.
Yeah.
So
me
it's
too.
a policy by policy basis.
I don't identify with either side.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
I think it largely is a racket, and it's kind of like a lot of the politicians are just showmen.
Yeah.
Show men and show women, and they'll kind of stand for anything. They'll just kind of put their finger up in there, see which way the wind blows.
Yeah.
And I think there's, on the Democrat side, like Tulsi Gabbard, I thought she was really good candidate that was running like 4 years ago. But
I thought she was going to run again this time.
she should have. She should have.
I wonder what happened. I know she was on Joe Rogan like a bunch of times. I saw her like
I really liked her.
last year. She was on.
Yeah.
I thought she was gonna run again.
Yeah, I thought she had some good ideas, and I thought she was fairly well balanced individual. But every candidate has this
Might have been
issues too.
smart though, because I mean, she might have seen the writing on the wall.
As far as
Who's probably gonna? I don't know. Yeah.
Anyways, let's not get into all that. So it'll be interesting to follow this kind of story, this accredited investor story with this bill. It's called, I think it's called the Equal Opportunity for All Investors Act. I think it's House Bill 2757 or something. I forget the number that they put on there, but maybe we'll do a update on this when it passes. And maybe at that point we'll have done a little bit more research on what it means, because I want to do the test. I'd like to do the test, wouldn't you?
Yeah, definitely. I'll study for it.
Yeah,
I'm an accredited investor.
It is.
That'd be cool. I'm not an accredited investor.
Yes. Anyway, so I think the next thing that we kind of wanted to talk about was just kind of speak briefly on the kind of movements of Twitter to X and everything that's been kind of going on with the Elon Musk thing. I know it's been a while since he purchased it. There's been some updates, and specifically, I was looking into the different subscriptions and kind of what they give you. It's interesting. I definitely think that the X needs a lot of work, but I do see some promise as far as what they've done so far at that company. And the reason why we've kind of been looking into it is because we are posting on YouTube regularly every week, and in addition to that, we'd also like to start posting on X. We have a X account, an X profile. Hormetic Monks over there as well, and we'll probably not this week, but probably next week. I'm going to try to see if I can get it to where we start posting on there regularly as well. And so the reason for looking into this is because in order to actually post a full-length video above 220 seconds, we have to have a premium subscription. Specifically, there's 3 of them. You need at least the basic subscription level. That's $4 a month. They have premium, which is a step up from basic, even though all 3 packages are called premium. But you have basic, premium, and then premium plus. Basic is $4. Premium is I believe $16. And Premium Plus is $22 a month. So, and I do have on my personal profile, I have basic, and I'm looking to cancel that, and on our profile for this podcast, get the basic so that we can upload up to 8 gigabytes, which ends up to be in 2 hours at 1080p or 3 hours at 720p. Just it has to be underneath that 8 gigabyte range or that size of file, and so we're looking into that. So like the benefits that I see with it, so or the different how it's structured is basically the $4 a month basic plan. It gives you I think up to 4,000 characters. As far as your post, if you're writing a post, it gives you up to 4,000 characters. I believe the original one, or the original with just without basic, without the $4 a month, I think you could only post up to 270 characters, I think it was. Maybe around there. It was under 300 for sure.
It's basically that, like, he's turning X into a competitor for Facebook, YouTube, and
all the dating apps,
and it's working. And like, if you're not on X is not perfect yet, and just saying, excuse me,
Gesundheit.
yeah, it's there's a lot of issues like with X. So I mean, not like a crazy amount. I mean, but
it's a really bad platform.
No, it's you're not getting censored. And he's basically making it, making it so you have freedom of speech. And there's people on there that were getting censored on a bunch of other platforms, like Tucker Carlson,
right? And now he's on
Dr.
X.
J. Peterson.
He's on X.
All of them, and like honestly, people hate on it, and I'm like, I know I've seen some people hating on like just saying, oh, this person is just not intelligent and all that. I'm like,
who? Elon Musk?
No, not
Jordan Peterson?
Tucker Carlson. I
Tucker
saw someone that just
said he's
saying,
not intelligent.
Have you ever listened to him?
Yeah.
Have you listened to this person? Because like a lot of the times, and I know like I've been this way. It's like I'm not gonna listen to someone or on the left that this person listens to all the time. Well, I'm being a hypocrite too. I mean, it's not like it's okay. What does this person have to say? And I literally try to do this. I'm like, this doesn't make sense sometimes. Some of this stuff. I'm not like some people do. I listen to a podcast with on Lex Friedman's podcast with Ben Shapiro and this other guy, and like the problem, like Ben Shapiro can actually be pretty chill. A lot of time people see him just like on a warpath, and he is on a warpath.
Mm-hmm.
And I gotta say, some things I don't 100% agree with everything he said, but he's a really smart person.
Sure.
And he can spit facts and has really strong arguments.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I mean, I've listened to enough podcasts to where it's like it's interesting. Like it's really hard when you hear hear someone arguing one side and it's a very good argument, and then you listen to another person on the other side and it's a very good argument too.
Right.
And it's like, wow.
Right.
Like I listened to one on Lex Friedman's podcast right after that one, I believe. I should be better with names, but my brain doesn't like names.
I get you. Well, there's so many different people online anymore. You know?
I'm running into like hundreds of names. Anyways, but he was talking about like he's like a leader in the Muslim community, and he's always preached against violence.
Sure.
And there are the extreme right on his side that they do, but it's not all Muslims.
Sure.
And like I see anti-Semitism and anti-Muslim on both sides. And you know what? There are things that you can point out that you can't deny some things, but it doesn't mean all people from one religion are bad. You know, like to me, like I go back in history in the Middle Ages when like Muslims were when the Muslim religion was coming about, they were actually the peaceful ones. From my understanding, looking at history,
mm-hmm.
And then the Christians were really brutal, just freaking crazy, and I mean, basically, like, you would rather the Muslims taking over, like, coming and invading you than the Christians. Because the Christians would just murder everybody, and then the Muslims would offer the people a chance and actually not murder them.
Yeah.
But then you got Genghis Khan. He said, if you surrender, we'll save you all. No, he just murdered you all anyways.
Just irrespective.
And
I think that's the good thing about X is that it allows some of these discussions, about whether it's Ben Shapiro or who has been censored in the past or believed to be censored in the past, or at least that's what he claims. Jordan Peterson, who claims to have been censored in the past, and on and on and on, allows these more controversial topics to be discussed. And just like you were saying, like, there can be really intelligent people on both sides of these discussions, and if we can't have these discussions about controversial subjects without having them censored, or at least taken down because we're worried about safety, we're worried about someone at home getting the wrong idea, which I get it, that is a valid concern, but the thing is like, I think the benefits of having controversial discussions outweigh the negatives of some individual taking an idea wrong. And that's why I think X, what they're doing is really critical right now, is allowing that free as possible discussion to take place. And from what I don't know necessarily if that's the case. Maybe they're going to censor as well, but it seems like at this point they haven't. And Elon Musk also was saying that what he looks like is in every country that X is in, he's looking to go, whatever the regulations are, like whatever the laws are of the land, he's not looking to get any more stricter than that. So like he still has on X where you can't incite riots and have a call to violence or threaten other people, because those are actually laws. You can't threaten people. That's not freedom of speech, right?
And by the way, if you're sensitive to certain things, I prefer not to see things like they're still struggling with like violence, like a lot of violence on X.
Yep.
Like, and it is, I find it disturbing. So I mean, I get sometimes like you need to see what's happening. Like I don't know. I don't know where to go there, but it's like I personally don't like seeing people like.
Sure. I definitely don't think the algorithm should be feeding you violent material.
Yeah.
And no, I do think that if there's like news or videos where real world stuff is happening, that should be able to be searchable and viewed.
Yeah, if you want to see what's actually happening, I think that there should be a place, maybe, or like age restriction, obviously.
Yeah, but
I do hear that they are like getting rid of pornographic material,
which I think is good.
If
you want to view porn, I don't have a problem with it, but don't go to your social media accounts and try to view porn. I mean, that's just weird.
Yeah.
Or make it to where it's you have to opt into it.
Yeah.
Or just like Google. Google has this to where you have what is it? Safe search off, safe search on. If you have kids, you obviously want to keep that on. You don't want them to type into something and get a whole bunch of weird stuff popping up. I don't think porn's the problem, but I think having the algorithm feed it to you, you don't want to just be like, oh, look, a cute picture of my niece. Click, click. Oh, look, a cute picture of my nephew. Okay. Oh, look, one of my friends posted this. Oh, look, porn. Hardcore, like no one wants to see that.
Yeah.
That shouldn't be in your feed. Unless you want it to be, It should be maybe an opt-in, opt-out thing, but regardless, yeah. So I think there's definitely some progress in the area. I've seen it with the functionality. I mean, there's like there never used to be to where you could video call somebody or audio call somebody, and now you can do that on X. There's with the basic package, you can type, I believe, up to 4,000 words. You can undo a post, which basically it basically gives you up to an hour to undo it. So you post it and it just kind of sits there, and then you can undo it before it actually posts, and you can set how much time you want to before you, I guess I'm not explaining that very well. Say you write a post, you hit post, it's not going to post it right away. It's going to give you like it could be anywhere from like a minute to an hour or 30 seconds for you to say, oh, I want to undo that and I want to make some changes. They also have an edit function now with Basic, so where you can edit your tweets where previously you weren't able to do that, and you can't with regular X. Let's see. So what's some of the other things they have? They have it to where you can change. I did this. I posted it on my profile, but they have it to where you can. There's like 7 or 8 different styles of the X icon that you can have on your phone. It's not a very big deal, but it's kind of fun. I kind of like it, you know. And then and that's with Basic, and then you can bookmark things too. So you can go in and save things for later. And then with the premium package, it has all that. Plus, you have the check mark, the verified blue check mark, and also it obviously verifies you. I think there's some. You get like encrypted. You can do encrypted messages. There's some added benefits with that, mainly being the verification. And then with Premium Plus, you get all that. Plus, you get Grok AI.
Grok.
Yeah, or Grok. Yeah, Grok.
Grok.
And that's Elon Musk's kind of new AI version with Twitter or with X.
Yeah.
And which I'd actually like to try it out.
Yeah.
You know, it
AI
might be worth it.
AI is very fascinating. I think it's very scary, but I think there was a lot of things that were very scary technologies. I think this is probably the most scariest. Is the most scary, but I'm gonna utilize it.
It's a tool.
It's a tool that it's like if you don't use it,
You lose it.
I mean, it basically like imagine like getting some of the best advice you could ever get.
Yeah.
And it's right there.
Yeah.
Like,
and it's
I listened to one of my teachers.
Yeah.
Leslie Samuel. He's got a YouTube channel, and he did a full video
on AI.
Like he had a full conversation with his AI.
Oh, no way.
Like it was interviewing a person.
Okay.
And it actually was giving like insanely good advice, and he was able to you basically tell it what you want. Like, hey, I want to have this podcast, but I don't want you to sound so AI. I want you to sound like a person.
Sure.
I want you to have fun.
Right.
Talking to me,
give me some jokes, give me some whatever, make it light.
Yeah, you could do that if you wanted, but he wanted help with how to balance his time and stuff, like with his, like making sure he's putting out content, like in a group setting. Like, I don't want to be videoing, because I want to be paying attention to the people, and the AI's like, why don't you incorporate the people in the video, like have them be a part of the podcast. Mm-hmm. It was very interesting. That's not exactly what it said, but it was like incorporating, like you want to make these people feel special, not special. You want to pay attention to these people. That is most important. But if you incorporate them into the video, like you can do 2 at the same time, and it's a better outcome than if you just did one.
Mm. Okay.
It was interesting.
That is cool. Yeah.
And the AI came up with that.
Yeah.
And it was way better, like explained way better than I just did. Like it was insane.
Yeah, it's crazy where that's going. I mean, at some point, I think it'd be fun to get the Premium Plus just to check out.
I will at some point.
Yeah.
Like in the near future.
Yeah.
Because like there's, like it's like having a cheat code like for life in a sense. Not life in general. Like obviously you have to use your own like wisdom, but
yeah,
it can give you. It's scary because like you're getting advice from AI. It's taking things from like everything that humans have learned from the internet, which is freaking scary. So you have like an engineer, a doctor, and it's not certified. You can't like you obviously don't want to take legit medical advice probably from it. I don't know. Anyways.
And maybe there'll be doctor robots in the future, you know?
They probably will. And honestly, I hate to say it, but I probably trust a machine with more information than a lot of these doctors.
That's fair.
I'm dead serious. I know that sounds messed up, but like I've had every single time I've gone to the doctor, I've had pretty much a negative experience.
Yeah.
And usually like there's an upcharge or something like that. Like you have to be very knowledgeable. You cannot trust the doctors going in because whatever what you say, oh, sounds like this, we're going to order a $600 test or whatever.
Right.
Like for this thing that you mentioned being an idiot, me being an idiot. Like, oh, well, this is like, well, we got to check this out. It's usually like you kind of have to.
But you can always decline those tests. You don't have to go through them.
True.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah.
If you don't know any better, which I did when I was younger, at the time,
Yeah, right.
$1,000 doctor bills.
Damn. Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
that's rough. Yeah, no, I agree. I think that the AI is definitely it's a powerful tool, and you can probably use it for good or evil. And you just have to be smart and knowledgeable and just be careful with it. But yeah. I kind of like where X is going. Hopefully they'll have a lot more improvements. And I was actually had this thought earlier today, which is that I think this is his plan, and Elon Musk's plan, and I could be wrong on this, but I think what his plan is, and if it's not, this is what he should do, is every new feature that he adds to X, he could add it to the people that have the subscription. And then slowly over time, the older features or the older new features, as they age out, you can actually move it over to where everybody gets it. And so you have this space.
That's the way he's doing it, or do you think it would be cool?
I think that's the way he's doing it, but I don't have any, that's just my opinion. But if he's not, that's how I think he should do it. Because then you have this section where people are paying for new features, and that section of the population that's paying for new features, that subsidizes a lot of the cost of implementing those new features. And then as time goes on, you can move it over to where the general X population gets that feature eventually as it ages out. But these people here, they get the newest one. And it's kind of, it's like an assembly line type of deal with features and upgrades. And I think that's if he's not doing it that way, I think that's the way he should do it. Because I don't want to sit there and pay that amount of money every month just to be able to have 4,000 characters.
Yeah, I don't know.
Tweet, you know what I'm saying?
But I did want to say really quick, if you're a doctor, I apologize. I'm just kidding. No, I'm saying
he's like, just kidding. I hate you all.
A lot of them are overworked, and there's not they have to see so many different patients. You don't get time with the patients. You don't get time to get to know them. I think the whole medical system is like garbage, in my opinion, in the United States.
Yeah.
Like, it's ridiculous. Anyways.
It is.
But yeah, I just want to throw that out there.
Yeah.
But I do have to get going soon.
Okay. Yeah, definitely. No, we'll probably wrap it up here soon. I did also want to mention with X, if you guys haven't checked it out, if you go into X and you go into Spaces, it's kind of cool because people are able to have live conversations there.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if you've ever used it. That's dope. I
listened to a bunch of people like talking about just random stuff. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, it is cool. So it's basically it's like I could start a space and then 50 people could join me, 100 people, whatever, and I could pass the mic off to any one of the people that are there, and then they could talk for a while. And it's just nice because it's like kind of a community live audio situation. And I don't really. There's things sort of like that, but there really isn't anything that I think is that well
very
implemented.
cool.
It's very smooth. So if you guys have X or formerly Twitter, go check out Spaces. Very cool. And we'll see you guys in episode 9.
I like it because you can just join it like some random like you could be having a conversation if they're a friend or a follower. You can just
you can make it public so anybody on X can just pop in and out, or you can make it private to where only your followers do it, or you can
Yeah.
make it even more private.
That's kind of cool
private
though.
than
I
that.
mean, I think it's great because there's a lot of people that like to be a part of a conversation. Just hop in
Yeah, listen.
and listen, and then like
Yeah,
raise your hand.
yeah,
Hello,
yeah. I'd like
I
to.
want to talk.
Right, and then here you go. They might not let you, but you know. I
It's
know.
so
I
cool.
listened to one with Naval Ravikant, and
Oh, shit.
that was pretty good. So, and he was with I think Tim Ferriss and some other people too. And they were having a space. I was listening to it, but
That's dope.
yeah. Anyway,
Yeah, I would have hopped in if I would have known about that.
yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
But
So I gave an hour lecture. No, just kidding. Anyways, all right, guys. We'll
Yeah.
see you in episode 9. Peace.